Hello again, welcome to the second hour of News at Prime with me, Tembekile Mkhototo. We begin with breaking news. The National Assembly has in the last few minutes rejected a motion by the Democratic Alliance calling for the establishment of an ad hoc committee to investigate the Phala Phala farm burglary. The official opposition wanted parties in Parliament to look into whether state institutions were used as part of an alleged cover-up of the crime committed at President Cyril Ramaphosa's game farm in 2020. Former spy boss Arthur Fraser claims that over $4 million were taken from the property during that crime. 199 MPs have tonight voted against the motion, while 126 have voted in favour of the establishment of such an ad hoc committee. The ANC and Good Party were among those opposed. Let's get you a live update now. Bring in our reporter Athi Mtonga, joining us from Parliament. Athi, tell us more about what happened in the chambers.
Well, Temegila, it's always a numbers game. I'm listening to you speak of the numbers in terms of how the voting took place in the main house this evening. So it's obvious that because the African National Congress is the majority in the National Assembly, the numbers are looking the way they are simply because they are really the majority. You recall, as you mentioned, that the Good Parties are actually one of the parties that was siding with the ANC in this stance, saying that there is absolutely no need for an ad hoc committee, given the fact that there are law enforcement agencies looking into the theft, the money theft at President Cyril Ramaphosa's Phala Phala farm. But the DA is of a different view, and I'm joined by the Chief Whip, Siviwe. Obviously, as I said to Tembekile, it was obvious because it's always a numbers game in the House. What is your immediate reaction to this?
Look, Athi, we are not surprised, but of course always disappointed, because I think we must always hold the view that we can convince each other in this House of the real arguments that we made, for instance, in the debate yesterday about why we needed this ad hoc committee. We explained in great detail how it is different from the Section 89 inquiry that will be taking place and why this is particularly important. And of course, you know, in this line of work, we can't give up about the fact that people may come to their senses and they may in fact remember the lessons we learned during the Nkandla debacle, that they may remember some of the devastating comments that were made about Parliament during the Zondo Commission, and some of the apologies that were even offered by previous presiding officers. Of course, those pleas from the Democratic Alliance and other opposition parties fell to deaf ears, as we saw the ANC and the Good Party voting very differently. It's incredibly disappointing because, of course, this House, while it is a house of political parties, one does hope that at certain points that we can put our party differences aside, and if something is a credible idea that is really provided for in the rules, that we can get behind it so that at the very least South Africans can see that here we are committed to doing our work. And our work is clear in the Constitution. We need to hold the executive to account.
Speaking about the Zondo Commission, one of the issues that were brought up there is a lack of Parliament playing its role to hold the executive to account. And those were some of the issues that you brought up yesterday in that mini plenary session. But looking at how things are unfolding now and the fact that they used an excuse of having law enforcement agencies investigate the Phala Phala money theft, how do you then begin to work around that as the official opposition party in this House?
Look, I mean, it almost feels like deja vu, like similarly to how we saw in Nkandla. So the Fifth Parliament scandal was Nkandla. The Sixth Parliament scandal is Phala Phala, because essentially that is exactly what the ANC MPs held during the Fifth Parliament. And when you look at the reports now, when we reflect in the State Commission, in the State inquiry, you realize that even the former Chief Justice at the time says there was absolutely no reason why Parliament needed to wait for law enforcement agencies. Because remember, they are a separate arm of state. We have an obligation here in this House to do what is our job. And unfortunately, as you said and what Tembekile said, this is a numbers game, and we can only really hope and work hard to make sure that we use every lever that is available to us. We're looking forward to the beginning of the work of the Section 89 inquiry, and of course, while our attempt, and we've tried it all. We've tried writing to the Speaker to get this ad hoc committee. We've tried appealing her ruling to say that this needs to happen. She's tried sending it to the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence, and that was kicked back to her. And with our at last attempt, we've moved it to the House to appeal to individual MPs, really to try and make sure that this institution does not lose its integrity. But of course, this is not where it's going to end, because we took an oath of office. We've got to make sure that we use every lever that is available to us to make sure that whether it is in committees or whether it is through court cases, we get this matter really interrogated by Parliament. Otherwise, if we give up, then there's absolutely no point in having this institution here.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. Cyril, the Chief Whip of the Democratic Alliance, is actually still in the House. Thank you for making time for us to confirm this news of the National Assembly voting against the establishment of an ad hoc committee that would look into the money theft at President Cyril Ramaphosa's farm. She's mentioning the Section 89 motion, which is something different. That 3-member panel is going to be beginning its work very soon, Temekile. They'll have 30 days to compile a report, which will inevitably get to the National Assembly, where MPs, of course, from different political parties will get to look at it and whether to see whether there can be possible impeachment hearings against President Cyril Ramaphosa as a result of Phala Phala. And tomorrow he will be here. He's expected to come and respond to questions in the National Assembly, and of course to answer that question from the last session, which was asked by the ATM, which some MPs felt that he did not answer. So we're hoping tomorrow the President will then be able to give a satisfactory response and being transparent before the members in the House.
Athi, thank you very much for that update from Cape Town.